Hello, all, and welcome to another Stories with Mr CCDV.
Hello.
So, just a quick thing. Welcome, Mrs. Canuck. And Mrs. Canuck, I'm never late. I'm just fashionably on time. Welcome, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, and some dude named Mr. CCDV. How are you doing, Christopher?
Well, someone keeps taking my name when I'm on this channel.
I know. It's just rude. Sandstorm. So how are we this week, other than, alive?
Well, you know what? I'll take alive.
Yeah, me too. I'm on this side of the dirt, so far everything's going to plan.
Yeah. Well, the tremors are getting worse. The not being able to eat is getting worse and all that stuff. I'm basically on a soft food diet when I can actually eat.
Yeah.
So
I can still eat when I remember to. But there's that. So where are we in our stories with a crazy ex-military guy?
I think maybe we stopped at rebuilding the fuel system.
Yes.
And several of the stories, like the cavitating pump and the geyser fuel and all that stuff. Oh, and the 80,000 gallons in a 50,000 gallon bag.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was special.
Yeah.
That's a bad day to misplace pin.
I figured since we talked about it being Groundhog's Day, 12-hour shifts every day for the entire year, we'd move on to personal stories.
Sure.
So, let's see. What would be a good first one?
Oh, I like the one that you hinted at. Whiskey bottles behind a wall.
Ah, yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, anytime you have a rule against something, there's going to be a way to get around that something.
Never.
Of course not. So rule 1, of course, is no fraternization, no alcohol, because we're in a Muslim country.
Mm-hmm.
So, the British could drink.
Well,
of course.
It's in their credo. I mean, you're not getting rid of, especially if the Navy's there, you're not getting rid of the rum ration, or somebody's going to have a really bad day.
But the Americans couldn't, so
no.
And of course,
well, actually, it's funny because I've heard two vets, one U.S. vet and a British vet, Navy vet, talk, and they always talked about how when the British and the American Navy would meet, the Americans would drop off ice cream and the British would drop off alcohol.
It's called the black market. But the funny thing is, even in Muslim countries, there's alcohol everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously. And so a few of the third-party nationals, those are people not from Iraq. They're from, like, India or Sudan or whatever. I don't know. Kenya, maybe. Anyway, those are the ones who are doing the basic services, laundry service and the cooking in the dining facility, that kind of thing. So,
I believe that's called IE work that they don't feel like paying you for.
Which is funny because we had all the cooks and we had all the, laundry bath specialists. Everybody was there. It's just that they couldn't do their job. As a matter of fact, at the end of this deployment, the fuel system got sold to Kellogg Brown and Root. And so from 2006 till 2011, even the fuelers didn't have a job.
So does that come down to dollars and cents?
I never could figure it out. Because I did go into
like, okay, it's cheaper to bring it like in normal like civilian work, that would be okay. It's cheaper to have the subcontractor come out than it is to have the guy that we've trained and put all this training into, and now we got to pay him $18 an hour to sit there, or we can have this guy do it for $13.
Well, yeah, that would be accurate, except that the salaries being paid to the people working the fuel farm were exorbitantly large compared to our salary,
Oh, so it would be the
right?
reverse. Well, you never know. I mean, we are talking about the government. So, I mean, if the government could
Yeah,
find a way to waste money, I mean,
I haven't quite figured out how we made or saved money by hiring contractors to do the jobs of the people who were already in country.
it's obviously a higher mathematics than we were ever taught.
Obviously, it's far
Obviously.
higher. I mean, because every year another division would go in and take all of their. Uh, oh no, I've got my fan on. If that's bothering you, I'll turn it off.
Oh no, it's fine. It's just a little hum in the background. It doesn't seem like
Yeah, it's getting warm up here. It's supposed to get into the low 80s today, so I need some air circulation in this room.
Yeah, it's getting warm here. It's a whole 3 degrees.
Wow. That's almost above. Well, that is above freezing, isn't it?
That is
Yeah.
above freezing. Yeah.
Okay. I can't convert Celsius. I've been trying forever, but I can't. Anyway, so I can't figure out how we saved money by hiring people at 3 times the amount that we're being paid, and we're still in country and not doing our jobs. So, you figure that one out? Get an economist on it or something? I have no idea. Anyway, so where was I? Fuel system. Oh yeah, the whiskey thing, right? So there's always contraband, always. You know, if there's a rule against it, then there's contraband, and it can come from anywhere. Like I said, the third-party nationals were allowed to go off the base, so they would, smuggle things on, right? And we also had local vendors that were vetted so that they could supply like bootleg movies and things like that, and little snacks, because we still didn't have a post exchange or shop ed or anything like that. So they allowed local vendors to come on and open up shops where they would sell snack foods and sodas and things like that, and those vendors would smuggle on booze as well. We're not just talking about booze. We're talking about drugs as well. Anyway, anything from hashish to, I don't know, there may have been cocaine as well, but definitely opium and its derivatives, right? So
Yeah.
you could basically buy anything you wanted to while you were there. Well, our really smart privates thought that if they were, well, I think I told you this, we were actually staying in brick buildings on this deployment.
Okay.
We actually had air conditioning, thank God. That was so nice. Anyway, a little courtyard as well, and a little pump house on the side. And the guys thought that if they removed one of the bricks from the pump house and they stashed their whiskey bottles and other contraband behind that brick, that they could get to it real easily. Well, one of them, I guess one of them had short arms or something. I'm not sure. But they ran a little bit of parachute cord through the brick that they had removed.
Yeah.
And so one of our NCOs walked into the courtyard, was walking around, because we had found empty whiskey bottles in the trash, so we knew our guys were drinking. Well, it turns out that almost everybody was actually having a drink now and then while we were there. I'm not going to name names.
No.
Yeah, almost everybody. I think I may be the only one who never got invited to take a drink.
Rude.
Super religious, though, so yeah.
Still rude.
I guess that makes sense, but yeah, I think it's kind of rude. So anyway, this NCO, he's wandering around the courtyard and he sees this 550 cord sticking out of the wall, And he goes, what in the world? And he pulls the brick out. 7 bottles of whiskey behind this brick.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm assuming somebody's hide was tanned.
You can hide your booze in your backpack and the NCO's not allowed to go through it, right? Oh, well. I think it was 7. It may have been 17 bottles. Anyway, whatever the case may be, these guys had a lot of liquor behind that wall.
Well, see,
Crazy.
I think it went something like this. The official report said 7, and the NCO officially had 10 new bottles of stuff put in the street somewhere.
Actually, he was one of the other NCOs who never got invited to take a drink, too.
Ah!
But I knew it was going on. And I basically knew where they were hiding it. I just never said anything, because, hell... Yeah. Most of the NCOs and the officers, well, the officers were definitely doing it.
Yeah.
And most of the NCOs were, take a shot or two after your shift and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I would do that now, but I didn't do that then. And they never invited me.
How rude.
I know. They did invite me to play poker, though.
Oh, there you go. Which is another thing you weren't allowed to do.
That is true, but you can play any card game you want to, as long as there's no money involved.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, yeah. Uh-huh. No, we're playing for rocks. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That rock's worth $5.
Exactly.
We'll settle up later.
Ay. So yeah, the commander was required to do an interview because it was brought up in public and all that. So he had to interview everybody and decide who was guilty and handed out the non-judicial punishment. And that's where it was left off. And then I guess somebody had a conversation with that particular NCO who found the bottles and said, "Stop snooping."
Yeah. Because, to me, that just sounds like something, like, with that much planning and stuff, it's probably somebody above his pay grade to get that much in.
Well, no. I mean, privates and specialists are pretty smart in reality, but they just did a foolish thing and got caught.
Yeah.
So from that point forward, they were a lot better at hiding the booze, and they didn't leave empty. They didn't leave empty bottles in the trash can so anyone could see them.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah. When I would see that, I'd bury it under other trash. Just talk to my guys and go, "You really need to stop doing that. That is the dumbest thing. You are so going to get caught."
To get caught? I'm just asking for a friend. Are you looking to get caught? I'm just curious. Curiosity killed the cat here, but I'm just wondering, are you looking to get caught?
Yeah.
Is there something I'm missing?
Apparently so.
Here's your sign. It says, "I'm an idiot."
Ay. So yeah, that was cute. I mean, the non-judicial punishment ranges from, 7 days restriction to like 60 days restriction.
Peeling potatoes.
Half a month's pay for 2 months, or half a month's pay for 1 month.
That one would hurt.
Yeah. That'd be pretty bad, but I mean, we were making a lot of extra cash while we were over there with combat pay and stuff like that. So a lot of guys it didn't really affect. It didn't affect me either because I never got one.
I mean, sure that.
I know. Everybody knows me as the drunk, but seriously, I only started drinking a few years ago.
Yeah.
When I first started having difficulty walking, and I first started having the tremors in my arms and things like that, that's when I started drinking.
Yeah.
But whatever. You tell a doctor that, and they go, you have nerve damage in your legs because you're drinking. And I go, "No, I don't." It was there before I started drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. You have that bump on your head because you thought, what do you mean, what bump? Poof, that one.
Okay, so yeah, that was the whiskey thing. Oh, our MWR tent. That's Morale Welfare Recreation. They had a movie theater there,
Okay.
and so a lot of the first release films we got to watch for free. I don't remember what came out in 2005, but since I was doing 12-hour shifts, I barely had time to work out, get some food, and then go to bed. So I didn't really watch that many movies. But it was really nice to have that shop with all the bootleg movies. Although it was watching some of them were pretty damn funny, because you could only see about 3/4 of the screen because the guy was holding the camera between two seats, and you could see heads.
Yep. Yep. So, how many times did they go? Well, this is the great. This is the movie that we're advertising. We're going to be able to watch, and then somebody flipped the tape.
What do you mean flip? The tape?
Like switch the video.
Oh, I honestly have no idea. I hadn't even heard stories about it because.
Oh, that
like
would
I
be.
said,
I could see some of my friends were there. I could see them doing it. What movie are we not allowed to see? Oh, that sucker's going on Friday.
Okay.
I could see it.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
With the friends I used to hang with, I could see that happening so much.
There was this one guy there who hung out at the MWR tent whenever he had time. He was one of those chess players who were like a master of the 5-minute game, right? And so it was, he could beat most everybody in like 4 or 5 moves. And sometimes you'd get someone who actually really knew how to play chess to sit down next to him, but he'd still beat them. Because in a 5-minute game, the guy who's good at chess maybe hasn't played that many 5-minute games, so he's sitting there thinking of a move. Time runs out. He's got more pieces on the board, or he's in a better position or something.
It's the crux of speed chess. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, I'm not playing against him. I started a cribbage club.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my favorite thing to do with that is you get some, like when I was in high school, there was this one grade 12 kid that just would kill everybody in the chess club. Everybody. So I didn't play him for like a week. I just sat there and watched him play.
Yeah.
And I figured out that his whole game, didn't matter what thing, his whole game revolved around one piece on the board.
Oh, he wasn't diversified at all, huh?
His queen. Every attack he had to do with his queen. So when I sat down and played him, my opening strategy was kill the queen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what I did was I baited him. I had a piece to kill his queen, but I needed him to move a piece in order to do so.
Right.
So I put a piece over here that he could easily kill, and he's getting cocky, and he goes, ha ha ha. So you gotta watch what you do, and he took the piece because it was an easy kill.
Yeah.
I went, ha ha ha, and I killed his queen, and I said, you gotta watch what you do, and he got mad at me and threw the board across the room.
Really? No kidding. Oh, what a sore loser. Alright, so I am going to admit that I played poker pretty much for this whole deployment. I mean, you're sitting there for 12 hours. And
yeah.
As many Turkish convoys as you can bring in, it doesn't fill up 12 hours of your day.
No.
So, besides trying to figure out how much fuel is in the bags, they actually created these long, like 6-foot pieces of stick with little graduation lines on it. I don't know how they figured out the graduation lines, because the bag is, a bag.
Yeah.
So the whole time we were there, we were like, okay, go gauge the bag. Are you kidding me? It's never accurate. Doesn't matter. Go do it. So, I mean, there's a lot of busy work involved. And a lot of paperwork involved, too. But, you know, even with all that, it was just sit there for 6 out of the 12 hours and wait for somebody to come in.
A lot of this.
So, we did start playing poker. For the most part, and especially after the incident, we separated. You know, NCOs would play together, and lower enlisted would all play together. And we didn't really care. I mean, the stakes were like $5.
Yeah.
So, and if you were pretty decent, you'd eventually win. You know, that pot for that night. So I just told on myself. I hope I don't get in trouble.
Retroactively come back and go, you played poker.
But there
So
was.
did you.
There was this one time when one of our NCOs sat down with the enlisted guys and started playing a game with them. And I guess he thought they were cheating or something, but he lost and he got really mad. And he came outside and started venting, and he was yapping at me, and I said, I told you not to play with the enlisted guys. And he flipped his lid, man. He lost his shit. He yelled at me. He yelled at me for a good 10 minutes. He was like, that's why nobody likes you. You're a smartass. Okay.
That's why no one likes you, because you're a dumbass.
Nah, I just let him vent. He was a good guy. I liked him. We met up after... it had to have been a couple of weeks later. We met up on the berm and watched the sunrise together. It was cool. You know, men don't apologize to one another.
No.
Yeah. We just find something interesting, stand there, put our foot up on a rock, and go, yep.
We good? We good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's some deep thoughts right there. We good? Yep. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
That's some deep thought right there.
Boy, I'm telling all kinds of bad stuff this week.
Now, it's not bad. It's just
Yeah.
things that I cannot admit under oath.
Things that I cannot admit under oath, yes. So I told you about the Turkish convoys, right? And some of them would get shot at on their way down to Mosul from Turkey, right? And so they usually filled the holes with soap whenever they could, like basically bar soap, and you just rub it in there in the hole.
Yeah.
And that'll hold the fuel in until they can get their truck repaired. So we would end up not really knowing how much fuel was in their truck to begin with. Well, we knew how much was in there to begin with, but sometimes you'd lose fuel and sometimes you wouldn't. So for the first 6 months, we were always coming up short on our inventory. We never really figured out why. So we ordered meters, and we started metering the fuel. During this period, the first 6 months, the drivers of the vehicles would... let me see, I need to do this by picture, don't I? Okay. See where the camera is. Okay. So the driver of the truck would hold his hand right here at the bottom of his tank, right? And he would, show a little bit of money and then take his hand down. And some of our guys would accept the offer. So they would take out, 4,000 gallons of fuel and leave an extra 1,000 gallons in there. And they were getting, I don't know, like $100 for that.
Yeah.
But it made the U.S. government lose a lot of money. So we ordered the meters, and we were required, the NCOs on the shift were all required to go around, gauge the tanks, write down the amount, and then watch the meter, and then write down that amount, and then reconcile everything at the end of the shift. And it was a lot of walking, a lot of gauging. I smelled like fuel a lot.
Yeah. I no longer know what the smell of fuel is. I think it smells like fresh air on a Sunday morning.
So yeah,
that had to be like a pain in the ass, because the first, like, at that point you're like, I'm gonna find the motherfucker that's taking money. Why? Because do you have any idea? I mean, I don't know about military very much. I know some, but I don't know a lot because I haven't been in it. But I know for security guards, the worst thing you can do to us is cause us paperwork.
Yeah, like, I can see that.
Especially for me. If you cause me more paperwork, I hate you more than making me do an extra round. I'd rather do an extra round. I'd rather have to do an extra chore. I'd rather have to do... But if you make me do more paperwork, I immediately don't like you.
Well, we pretty much straightened out the inventory things. So for the last 6 months, we were pretty much on par. Give or take, regular 5 to 10% fuel loss.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, you're never going to have perfectly...
No, you're never going to
exactly the same amount of fuel, no matter what you do.
No, because 90% of the time, I mean, you're talking about just how much of it evaporates between the time you fill the truck to the time you get to the...
Well, not necessarily the evaporation factor. It was more like the temperature change, because fuel will expand and contract.
Yeah.
So you have to take temperature readings if you're going to be super duper accurate.
Yeah.
And then you've got to do math conversion to take it down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and all that stuff. And it really is a pain in the ass. I used to be able to do it very easily. Like converting from gallons to pounds, I used to be able to do that in my head. I can't do that anymore.
No. Well, there's just certain things, when you use them every day, it's second nature. When you stop using them every day, it's like I used to be able to hold a decent conversation and sign. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to be able to hold a decent conversation in French. Can't do that anymore.
There are skills that you lose if you don't use them.
Yep.
And then there are some that are just muscle memory and takes a little bit of practice to get back into. So
yeah,
it's not a big deal.
No.
I don't intend to be a fuel accountant ever again, so I don't care.
I do not intend to do the maths. Math sucks.
So, yeah, that was some fun stuff that we did. Well, it wasn't fun after we all got caught.
No, it's never fun. It's fun when you're doing it. So what would, like, because I'm trying to think, what would be like extracurricular?
The Morale Welfare Recreation had, sports balls to check out, and I think there was, well, almost everybody had video games on that deployment. They'd have game systems out the wazoo. There was PS2s, I think, were at the time.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, PS2, I think. There was the Xbox, whatever generation the Xbox was. So, and TVs and CD players and DVD players, everything. I mean, we weren't lacking for entertainment. And the MWR, even though it wasn't a large facility, it was still crowded every day. Let's see. And of course, eating.
Oh yeah,
eating. Definitely.
Eating is usually a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, we used to work so many hours at the fuel farm that we'd have to get food delivered to us. So you're talking like 20 plates that had to be called in ahead of time. And the dining facility would make the 20 plates to go. Somebody would go pick them up, bring them back, distribute them. So the food would be cold and rubbery and, congealed and all that stuff. We didn't have a microwave. We had a coffee maker, but not a microwave.
Yeah, mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, you see, here's the difference. You can give people piss poor food, but if you don't have that coffee maker, there are people that might slit your throat.
that
Um,
is correct.
I'm just throwing that out there.
That is correct.
You may not wake up the next morning. Um,
You know what we used to say? We used to say that you know you're a lifer when you drink black coffee in the field.
yes.
Because Army coffee comes in 3 forms: super weak and watery,
Mm-hmm.
almost good enough that it tastes like it's from home, and then black as night.
Yeah.
And if you
And
drink
there's also
black
then there's
coffee,
the special one. Then there's the special one. I need to remove some rust off of this damn bloody piece of metal. Get me the coffee from yesterday.
yeah, I've drank that too.
Yeah. I need to bend this nail. Get me a coffee. Yep. Man. Yay.
Oh, I found out on that deployment that it's possible to sleep while you're sitting up in a chair. Like, we didn't have super comfortable recliners, which everybody falls asleep in. It was like this little dinky office chair that I have right now. So, okay, think of a metal folding chair. That's what I was sitting on at night, right?
Yeah.
So, this is how I learned to sleep.
Yeah. I have done that maneuver. Yeah. There's also the one where there's a spare chair. So you grab the spare chair, you put it in front of you, put your legs up like this, and you lean back like this.
Yeah, that wasn't always safe.
No. Well, the ones that I used to love were the ones that would get those chairs, and they would lean back in them so that the 2 front legs were off the ground.
Oh yeah.
And they'd manage to like
just barely balance that way.
yeah, barely balance that thing. You know that if you walk by and accidentally kick that back leg out, it makes one heck of a crash.
Yeah, I know. That's
and if
why
you
I never
stand
did
around
it.
like you don't know what you're talking about, they can't really blame you because they weren't awake to see you kick the chair. And if you do it light enough, they just assume they fell over.
yeah, pretty much. That was a lot of walking days, a lot of waking days, lots of walking dead. I mean, wow. I know there are a lot of people.
You know what? I know we have a few stories to tell, but I think I've been inspired that let's go with stupid things that you've seen while on duty, and I think we can cover the next half hour. Because I'm pretty sure you watched a lot of stupid.
I have, but my brain isn't in that gear right now.
I like hearing about stupid.
Oh, everybody likes hearing about the stupid.
I can imagine, because I've seen some pretty stupid shit done by guards. I can just imagine what the amount of degree of stupid that you have seen.
See. Breaking a bead on a tire with a sledgehammer.
Oh, that must have went over just swimmingly.
Yeah, especially if there's still air in the tire.
Oh, whoops.
I saw a guy go, "Hey, you need to hit it harder." And so he walked up and grabbed the sledgehammer, and he drew it back over his head, and he went like an axe swing, as hard as he could down. There was still some air in the tire, so the sledgehammer hit the tire, bounced right back up, and hit him in the forehead.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's how that went. Yeah. Well, that's just like the story I always told. I think I've told it a couple of times here. But the one coworker that had to take 2 weeks off because he shot himself in the foot by hitting a bullet with a hammer.
Oh, I didn't tell about the shooting in the foot story.
There you go. See, I'm good at reminding people of things.
Oh,
See, once you
poor
start
guy.
talking stupid, it's you remember other people that have done stupid stuff.
This poor guy was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Anyway, on top of doing the fuel, we had squads that were dedicated to doing gate guard. We were still required to rotate in and out on gate guard as well. And at the gate, you're allowed to have live rounds.
Okay.
And because it's a war zone, you're allowed to have a full magazine in your rifle, but you're not supposed to chamber a round.
Uh-huh.
Of course, everybody plays with their rifle when they're bored.
Yep.
And so, this kid, for some reason, I don't have any idea why, he had a round chambered and his weapon was on semi-auto instead of safe. And
Oops.
so, when he was relieved from guard duty, he slung his rifle over his shoulder and it went off. I mean, the trigger obviously caught on one of his straps or something. And it went off and shot him in the toe. I think it actually went between his toes. So two of his toes were injured, but he didn't lose either one of them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so he was in a bandage for like 6 weeks.
I guarantee you that is not a war story he tells.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not. We had another guy. I think he was a lieutenant. I'm pretty sure he was a lieutenant because he had a 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he had been playing with it as well. Now, when you go into the dining facility or the MWR facility or something like that, there's little, barrels where you can clear your chamber, make sure you don't have anything loaded, make sure it's an unloaded pistol or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you drop the magazine and you cock the slide so that, whatever round might be in the chamber will just pop out.
Yeah.
And then you turn it to semi or turn the safety off and point the thing into the barrel and pull the trigger to make sure it's empty, right?
Yeah.
And then you holster that and you go back into the facility. Well, again, I don't know if he was tired. I don't know if he was bored or if he just got used to the routine, but he dropped the magazine, took the safety off and shot into the barrel, and everyone around him started hitting the ground or pulling their rifle out or
because it went
like,
bang, didn't it?
Whoa! Everybody relax. It was a misfire. It went into the firing barrel. It's fine. Relax. That's what the barrel's for.
Yeah.
I'm sure he got his ass chewed out by his commander.
Probably. I would assume, yeah. That's definitely, especially if the barrel wasn't tested for that caliber. Whoops.
Well, it's 9mm or 5.56. We didn't really have anything larger.
Yeah, because that could be bad. Ooh, it went through the barrel. Oh, let's not check the trajectory. Is everybody okay? Yeah, then let's not check the trajectory of that hole. Because I don't want to know where it went.
Oh. You know what? I'll tell a stupid story on myself, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So Bosnia was pretty much cool. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a minesweeper outside the gate sweeping for mines all day, every day. And so when something would go off, it would just be, a boom outside the facility. Well, for the first couple of weeks I was in Bosnia, I was like, oh, what was that? And then after that, it was just like, oh, it's the minesweeper again. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2003, there's stuff going off all over the place. So, like I said, when I was on that forward logistics element, Did I ever tell you I almost stepped on a viper over there?
No.
In 2003, we went on a forward logistics element. The one that I told you looked like that scene in the Transformers movie
Yeah.
where rounds were just going back and forth. Of course, they were all red because tracers all use the same chemical. So it wasn't
Yeah.
green and red, it was just red going back
Yeah.
and forth. Well, my friend and I made coffee, and I forgot something in the truck. I don't remember what. Maybe my pack of cigarettes or something. Anyway, we were way back from the fighting, so it'd be okay. Plus, we were, hiding under camouflage. Snipers don't usually target logistics, so we're fine. We felt comfortable doing it. So I walked toward my truck, and of course, we weren't using flashlights or red lens flashlights or anything. So it was dark. It was really dark. And I'm just walking along, not thinking about anything. I wasn't even looking at the ground. My friend grabbed my arm and he stopped me. And he pointed down and he turned on his red lens flashlight. And there was a coiled up viper right there getting ready to strike. I was like, okay, I don't need the cigarettes that bad. And I started backing off.
Yeah, it's like, I suddenly don't need a smoke. Let's go back that way. Yeah, that'd be one way that'll be one way to keep you out of your cigarette pack, I would assume.
So yeah, I'm telling on myself. What was I telling on myself for?
I don't know. If I knew, I would make a lot of money.
No doubt, huh?
I'd be in a whole new tax bracket.
I don't remember now. That was only a couple of minutes ago.
Meh.
Oh, well, whatever. Oh, I told you that my son was born while I was over there.
Yes.
So, at the beginning of March, my commander calls me into his office. He says, your wife had the baby today, and I was like, oh sweet, I'm a dad again, yay. So he handed me the sat phone to make the phone call to the hospital, and I talked to my ex for a little while. She agreed with me, and I agreed with her, and so we hung up. And I handed the phone back to the commander, and he said, you want to go ahead and do the Red Cross and go on leave right now? I said, no. I'd rather wait till June, if that's all right with you, sir. And he said, why? Well, we've been here for 4 months, and she's not going to be ready to have sex for 3 more months. So I'd rather wait if it's all the same to you, sir.
I'm sure he got a chuckle out of that after looking at you sideways.
Oh, yeah. I told the same thing to the guys in the barracks, too. They were like, well, that's smart.
Yeah. That there is a guy with a plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, well, plus, you can get, give her time to get home and acquainted, and you probably get more leave when you got home than when you're, just going there for a little bit and then coming back, so.
Well, it would have been 2 weeks either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2 weeks that I had at home, well, I told you about the MRSA infection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So while I was on leave, my knee swelled up again. But we were, what were we doing? Oh, we were on a wine tasting tour up in the Napa Valley, and we were visiting San Francisco and doing all that fun stuff, And I'd been dealing with this for 6 months already, so when my knee swelled up, I just went, okay, well, I gotta walk a little slower, but we can still do everything. And the night before we were supposed to leave San Francisco, I went and took a shower, and I noticed that not only was my knee swollen, but the veins leading up into my groin were also red.
Oh.
And it was hot and red. And I went, oh, this is not good.
Yeah. Might want to get that looked at.
I really was just waiting till I got back and take some more antibiotics. But yeah, that went really bad. So she took me to the Air Force training hospital in San Francisco. And I don't remember what it was called. Doesn't really matter anyway. Went into the emergency room, and the doctor, did the examination, looked at my knee and all that stuff, and he said, "Well, I'll give you these antibiotics, and you can go back to Iraq." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And my wife said, "Stop. Pull up your leg a little bit more." And I went, all right. Pulled my pant leg up a little bit more. And she said, "Look at those red lines." And the doctor looked, and he went, "Shit, we need to admit you right now."
Woman!
Damn it! So, because it was a community-based version of MRSA, I didn't get it in the hospital. I got it in the community in Iraq, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the hospital for 3 days, and my leave was extended 10 days. So I got, what is that, like 3.5 weeks of leave, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Instead of 2, yeah. But, I mean, I didn't intend for that to happen.
No.
But it worked out. I liked it.
Yeah.
Got a little extra time at home.
A little bit extra, yeah. Can't complain with that. Although, here's the question. Which was worse? The hospital food or the food in Iraq?
Actually,
by your pause, you have to wait. You think about that.
Well, the food in Iraq was actually a little bit better. Although, I have to admit, on that deployment, that was the one where they put bell peppers on everything.
Oh.
Why? Why are we having bell peppers on a hamburger? Why are there bell peppers in my soup? Why is there... Somebody back there had to have loved bell peppers to the point where he would probably eat them like apples. I mean, what the hell is going on with all these bell peppers?
Somebody over-ordered something.
For an entire year?
Oh, you wanted a case, not a pallet. Oh. Darn.
Jeez, that was bad. I took bell peppers out of my recipes for like 3 years after that.
That'll do it. Why is there bell peppers in my eggs? I wanted sunny side up.
I know bell peppers go in a Denver omelet. I got that. But I ordered scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
There's not even cheese in my scrambled eggs. So why are there bell peppers in it?
Yeah. They wouldn't even put salt, the cheap bastards. Put these bell peppers in it. Yeah.
Hey, Vic Sonder. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, that was crazy. Let's see. Other stupid things that happened. Well, I did tell you about the Kubota running up on the side of the berm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. What else? I told you about the repairing the bag, right?
Refresh my memory.
That's the one where we have patches for bags, so if one springs a leak, you put a wooden dowel in it to keep the leak from going while you're preparing the silicone and the patch and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And the bag was full. Like 40,000 gallons. Maybe only 30,000 gallons. But that's a lot of weight against that little tiny
I would imagine.
hole, right? So my platoon sergeant said, Sergeant Christopher, I want you to give a class on how to patch a bag. I said, okay, no problem. So I grabbed the repair kit, grabbed the knife, grabbed the clamp, and I grabbed the wooden dowel. And it was just a little spewing little thing, you know, like a little boy peeing in a fountain kind of thing, you know, not a big stream. But in order to get the patch in, you have to cut a certain amount of length on the bag and then insert the patch, pull it really tight, and then start clamping it down with the thumb screw, right? Well, I didn't even wear my rubber boots. I just had my regular boots on, my regular pants on. I didn't think, because I've repaired bags. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I've repaired bags before. That's why she asked me to give the class. It's like, no problem, I can do that. So I cut the hole, and it started spewing right on my chest and drowning me in fuel. So I was like, oh no, okay. So I didn't panic or anything. I just shoved the patch in as fast as I could, and I pulled it back, and I started clamping it down as fast as I could, and I got it clamped down all the way down tight as I possibly could get it. And so now it was just kind of trickling out the sides of the patch. It's like, no silicone! Ah!
And that's when you stand up and you don't look in the mirror. And that is how not to patch a bag.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, we transferred the fuel into another bag and fixed the patch. God, that was dumb. Oh, I felt so dumb after that.
That's when you stand up and you go, and that is how not to do it.
That is an example of how not to do it.
Yeah, and I meant to do that the whole time. Oh.
Aye.
Which vehicle is the hardest to fuel?
The Apache gunship.
Okay, and why?
That was easy, wasn't it? The Apache gunship, just like the AH-67. Well, AH-1 was the Huey. AH-67, that was the helicopter that we used most for troop transport and medevac and things like that.
Yeah.
And when you fuel one of those, it's just a single tank with a single point adapter, which you've seen in movies, I'm sure, but you may not have known what they were called. You shove it on, you give it a quarter turn, and you open a valve, and then you start pumping, right?
Yeah.
Single point adapter. Very easy to use. But an Apache has to be fueled in a certain order because there are 4 tanks on it.
Oh.
So you have to fuel one tank at a time. And you have to be real careful. Because if you open up all 4 tanks at the same time, they will be unevenly filled. And so you need to watch your meter while you're fueling one tank at a time. And I mean, for ground vehicles, it's shove the nozzle in and hold the lever until it's full. For aviation equipment, almost all aviation equipment has 1 or 2 tanks, but the Apache had 4, and we had to, I mean, the engineer was supposed to be the one flipping the switches, right? So
yeah,
or the crew chief or whatever. Anyway, so they were the ones who were supposed to be flipping the switches, but well, everybody gets lazy in their job.
Yeah.
So
or they go, I know what I'm doing. I've done this a million times, and then they start talking about, did you see what Dum Dum did last week? And then they look back at
yeah, exactly. A lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
No, we always refused to do the switches. It was always the crew chief who had to do it. We never ever flipped the switches.
Well, no, because then they can blame you.
This is a multi-billion-dollar aircraft. I ain't touching
I
it,
want
man.
no part of that.
My job is to hook this nozzle up, start and stop the pump.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that. I guess, yeah, okay. So they have to be filled, and that's so they have to be. But why in what order? Like,
I never asked. I don't care.
oh, okay,
They'd say this many pounds, and I'd convert it to gallons and stop at that. They'd flip other switches and this
gotcha.
many pounds, and I'd convert it to gallons and start the pump, and
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Which
I'm never gonna touch those switches.
No. So was it easier from bag to vehicle or from truck to vehicle to fill, or is it just the same thing, just different?
No, we only did bulk distribution
Okay.
from the bags. Like you'd
Okay.
have 2,500 gallon tanks on the Hemet, the 8-wheeled vehicle,
Yeah.
or 5,000 gallon tanker trucks, tractor trailers that would come through. That's all. We never did ground vehicles,
Okay.
and we certainly didn't do aviation. You have to
No.
you have to test for water and particulates in
Ah.
the aviation fueling platoon before you can put a drop of fuel in any one of those aircraft.
Yeah, because that something going wrong at above 4,000 feet is not a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And our fuel already had an anti-freezing agent, but sometimes if it was a high-flying aircraft, we'd add more of
Yeah.
the anti-freezing agent. But I did that in Germany, not in Iraq.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, the anti-freezing additive, that always burned my eyes every damn time. I hated that stuff. Straight old jet fuel A, perfect. JP8, I could handle JP8. But using Prist, like sometimes you'd have a spray can to do Prist, and sometimes you'd have this like 20-gallon barrel that automatically fed the Prist, but oh god, that stuff. Ugh. Fumes are gonna get in your eyes no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But that Prist, man, I hated that stuff. Ah. Yeah, okay. What was
All
left
right.
of-
Well, folks, we're at an hour, so I think we'll wrap it up there. I know we didn't get to half of what we wanted to, but I got sidetracked, so I apologize for that. But I think
Well, I'm
everybody
not
was
actually
fine.
sure what else to talk about in 2005. I mean,
It was one of those years.
we sold the
Um,
fuel system at the end of the deployment, so we didn't even take any equipment home with us. We just
Oh,
went
that
home.
must have been nice.
Yeah, I mean, we just left everything set up. KBR took over. I'm like, okay, I'm
Jump on a
out.
plane, put up your feet, and go.
We're
that
going
bubble gum-
home.
Did we tell them about the bubble gum patch we put on the bottom corner? No? Okay, well, they'll figure it out in a couple of weeks.
They'll get it.
They'll figure it out.
Well, yeah. So, I think that's it for 2005.
All right. So we'll wrap it up at the end of 2005, and then in 2 weeks we'll reconvene and talk about the next little bit of fun.
Yeah.
With that,
2011.
yeah, yay. With that, folks, thank you. And as Richard used to say, have a good night.